going on, guys? Gonna make a real video for you because typically my videos are not real. Nice, good way to start. All right, so anyways, I'm gonna give you the same advice that I just gave one of my guys who just came to talk with me. So throughout my time, I have become pretty good at reading like energies and such of like people, and this guy seriously struggles like internally with negativity and depression and just feeling an all-around sense of like, why the hell is he doing anything, right? So I'm going to give you the same advice that I just gave him, and I'm going to relay it to a video that I had shot a little while ago. Now, do you guys remember I shot a video where I was up in the middle of the night having issues with anxiety, all types of like bent out of shape, totally unbalanced? Do you remember that? My arm was twitching during that video. I think I called it, and the cracks began to show. So check out that video if you don't know what I'm talking about. So here's the thing. This guy is severely unbalanced, as are many Americans, because we've been sold this false facade as to what it is to be happy and what it is we need as humans to be happy. So to tie this all together and to bring it back to what I'm talking about, that night that I was unable to sleep was just one of many, right? So I ended up being up for the next 2 nights as well. And I said to myself, I'm like, I can't function like this. I'm going to end up losing my job, which is obviously not what I want to do. So I hit up my boss the next day and I literally told him, I'm done. I literally said to him, I am done. I need a break, I need a vacation, and I need it now. And what he said to me, he's like, oh yeah, just take a few days and da-da. I said, nope. I need a vacation now. And I ended up going on a 3-week hiatus, which is actually when I finished getting the studio all set up, which is why we had that first podcast put together. So I went on a 3-week hiatus, and this is all going to be important and all going to be tied back to the guy that came to talk with me today about what he's got going on. I took a 3-week hiatus. During that 3 weeks, I tried to do anything I could think of that I wouldn't be able to do typically when I'm working, which is why I got the studio finished, which is why I kept going with the stock market and I kept getting everything going with the investing and this, that, and the other. At the end of that 3 weeks, I felt no different than I did when I took that 3-week vacation. I felt absolutely no different. The reason behind that is I was severely unbalanced going into that vacation, and I was still severely unbalanced coming back from that vacation because I never took a vacation. I still took customer calls, I still took this, I still took that. I just didn't close any deals, and I didn't go to any meetings. That was my vacation, which is basically bullshit. So here's the thing. 3 days before I came back from vacation, my anxiety had gotten a lot better over that 3 weeks. 3 days before I come back from vacation, I started to have it again, and I started to stop being able to sleep again. My heart palpitations in the middle of the night, waking up, hands shaking, the same stuff that was happening, which was the reason I went on vacation in the first place. So what I did is I sat there and I'm like, I'm gonna end up losing my job. I'm not gonna be able to continue like this. I'm not gonna be able to come back in and make this shit happen for myself, right? I'm literally gonna need to quit my job, which would be horrible, right? Because the job has helped me to turn a lot around in my life. It's given me the money to go and invest. It's I appreciate this job currently. So I ended up, to be completely, utterly honest, I ended up going to see somebody and telling them, be like, look, I don't know what to do. I'm going to end up losing this job. I'm going to end up all types of, right back to where I've started. Like, I need to get this under control. They prescribed for me clonazepam, which is like Klonopin or whatever, but it's just a different variation. Think like Xanax. They prescribed that for me. Now here's the thing. I took it and I slept for like 17 hours. Okay. Took it again the next day, slept again. And I was able to come right back in to the job of which I work and just go right back to blowing everything out of the water for a few days. I felt really good for a few days, going to the gym, got on my schedule, doing good, doing this, doing that. Within a few days, I started needing not only one at night to shut down, I started needing one during the day. I started needing one during the day because the anxiety would get really bad during the day. And I sat there, and I'm already against, taking anything. I'm totally against that, just my personal self. I don't want to feel reliant on anything, okay? So I sat there and I'm like, I'm going to end up addicted to this shit, right? Because I'm taking this at night, and now I got to take it during the day just to function. And I realized that, as many people talk about, this is just a Band-Aid covering the wound of which is like oozing blood, but we're just going to put a Band-Aid on that, right? That's what our society does. And I realized very quickly my issue was getting worse, because if I needed a higher dosage, right, in the morning and at night, this was not good. And this is literally only a few weeks ago. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and while talking with her, she talked to me about how she had turned some things around in her life. And I listened to her and all this whatever, and she had said how she started going back to the club, she started seeing her friends, she started doing all this kind of stuff. Okay, cool. Then I had a conversation with a spiritual woman. This woman, a lot of the stuff she said, I sat there and I'm like, this might be bullshit. But she said something to me very, very interesting. She asked me, did I ever get a head injury? Now, I am not in person with this woman. She asked me, did I ever get a head injury on the right side? Well, if you guys watch, if you go back, I have a video up. It's called My Worst Accident Ever. In that, I had a helmet on. I hit my head back here on the right side. I had cerebral spinal fluid shoot out my nose, all into the helmet. I was out. Like, I was almost dead, actually, is really what happened. I made a lot of jokes in that video, if you watch it, but I was literally almost dead when I hit my head like that. So this woman asked me, did I ever have an injury on the right side of my head? So I took into account some of the other stuff she said, because if you're going to guess that I had an injury back then, and you have known me for all of 2 minutes, and I'm calling you out of the blue, that tells me that you probably are intuitive, and you do have some spiritual capabilities, good, bad, or indifferent. Okay. What she told me is I was severely unbalanced. I could have told her that. But then she talked to me about grounding, and she talked to me about reconnecting with myself on the inside, on healing the anxiety and healing this and that it's because of such an imbalance, both within myself, both within society, right? We had this big conversation about it, and the very next day, that night, I walked out on my porch. I don't know why, just wanted to do it. I walked out on my porch, it was raining. I had sandals on, shorts, and a t-shirt. I stood in the rain on my porch, and I looked out over the back deck area. As I was standing back there, I was very much in my body. Now, this is what we do not do as a society. We're always in our minds. We're always thinking logically, or with the reptilian brain, right, that you want to call it, the subconscious kind of area. We're always thinking on one or two of those levels. We're never going inside ourselves. We're never truly getting in touch with, you could call it our higher self, or the soul, the spirit. We're never really going that deep. So I went out there, and though it was raining and it was uncomfortable, the fact that I was uncomfortable got me in my body, right? Got me to go within, because I couldn't get away from it necessarily because I was so uncomfortable, right? So here's the thing. There is a point. So what ended up happening is I'm standing on the porch, and I will tell you right now, I have most definitely been watched over many, many, many times in my life. I've had way too many near-death experiences. I've crashed into a car and just flown over the car, but I felt carried. I've had so many close calls with the cops. I've been warned in different areas. I see 1111 and 111 all the time. I'm constantly seeing some form of signals, right? Or signs. So I went outside, and I'm standing on the porch, and I'm literally looking out, and I started talking to myself. And I started saying, okay, whatever I am doing is obviously not working, right? Working harder is not working. Trying to do all the stuff that I was doing, not working. Trying to sleep at night, not working. Taking these fucking drugs, right? The clonazepam, not working. None of it's working because the problem is getting worse. And I thought about her and her talking to me about grounding. Grounding is a technique of which you go out and you literally walk around without shoes on, or you stand there on the earth without shoes on and you connect with the earth. Okay, sounds pretty fucking hokey to me, but with my past, I've seen a lot of things and I know there's something else out there. Okay, so believe it or not, this will tie back to the guy coming in and talking to me. So I do that, I'm standing out there, and I just start talking. Whether to God, source, angels, Jesus, my spirit guides, I'm just talking, right? So I'm on the porch, and I'm just having a conversation with myself about everything, where I'm trying to go, and what I'm trying to do, and what I'm struggling with, and it just came to me to feel as if I needed to do this more often. It just felt inside, right? Maybe it was because I was connecting with myself. That's how I felt. So I did that night, and I literally said, whatever you are who's been watching over me for so long, I'm going to try to connect with you. I'm going to try to go within myself and connect with you. Said that on the porch. I was out there for like 45 minutes. Then I went to bed. The next day, I had another anxiety issue where I was just having a whole thing, and I needed to take one of those things that day. Okay? And that's when I made the decision to go off in the woods, which is totally what I did. I walked off into the woods, and I went to Sleeping Giant, which is over in the Hamden area, and I was going down the trail, and I left the trail. I just felt called to leave the trail. I went, my phone was on silent, I just went for this walk, went off the trail. I ended up somewhere where nobody would be walking. There would be nobody anywhere near there. And what I ended up doing, I had my phone on silent, I tossed my phone, away from me. I'm sitting by myself in the woods, and I'm sitting on a rock, and I literally I said, fuck it, I'm gonna try it, whatever. Took off my shoes, and I put my bare feet in the soil, and I literally sat there for 2 hours, and I talked to myself, or I talked to whoever's listening, right? And I completely cleared my head, I breathed deep while doing it, and I just talked. And I talked about everything from past relationships to business ideas to where I'm at, to the anxiety issues, to what I'm trying to build, where I'm trying to go, friendships. I talked about everything, where I'm looking to go in life, and how many obstacles I feel are between myself and how to get there. Because along this journey, there's a lot of doubt that ends up happening within yourself when you're trying to really go far. And I sat there and I talked, and you know what I also did? Listen. I listened. No answers came in the form of words. They came in the answers of thoughts. And I sat there talking to myself, connecting within myself. And these answers and these ideas and these concepts came to me in my mind. They just surfaced like a bubble of thought, right? And I sat there and I listened to what I thought, and I just had conversations with myself for about 2 hours. It ended up getting dark, and I ended up leaving. Since that day, one of the thoughts that had surfaced was, you know what? I am so deeply unbalanced with the stuff of which I like to do, with the stuff of which I feel I have to do to get to where I want to go. So I made plans. I started hitting up high school friends, people from the past, people I would love to see, and I started making plans as if they were sales appointments to make sure that I kept these plans. I put them right in my planner, right in my calendar. I will tell you this. Since going for that walk in the woods, I have only had one time where I had any issue with anxiety, and really needed to take another one of those pills, those clonazepam. I've only had one issue with it. But you know what's interesting? I haven't stayed consistent with going for a walk like that, with grounding, with anything like that. And I'm sharing this with you guys because as a society, we are heavily unbalanced. And I had a conversation with a guy who came in here today, and he's really struggling with hitting his numbers. The reason he's struggling so much with hitting his numbers is up here. He's got the skills, he has the talent, he can do all this kinds of stuff. He's struggling because of it just being in such a negative rut and such, why am I waking up in the morning? What am I even doing this for? And what I think that is, that soul-sucking, like, sadness, I think what that is, I don't have Tourette's, by the way, someone just walked by. I think what that is our society tells us what it's going to take for us to be happy. But it doesn't work. It's very similar to the women in the 1960s who used to be told that, they've got a husband that doesn't beat them, they've got a washer, dryer, vacuum, a good place to call their home, white picket fence, things are good, finances are good. But these women weren't happy, and they would go to see the doctors and they would give them a Valium. Well, now we know, which should have been obvious back then, but now we know, well, a woman has to be fulfilled the same way a man does, the same way humans do. They need love and interaction and goals and exploration and fun. They need to get out. They need to do things that they want to do. They need to have experiences. You can't just sit in a house all day long and be thankful that you don't get beat by the person that you're with. No shit, you're not fucking happy. So that used to go on in the 1960s. The same shit is happening now. Society has laid out a protocol for what is going to create your happiness, and that protocol does not work. That protocol is specifically make shit tons of money, work your ass off, make more money, buy shit that you don't need, make this and spend this or more than that on credit. Materialism will make you happy, and you need to basically have this, 1.5 kids or whatever, it's said. You need to get married by this time. You need to have this big of a social life and this da-da-da. It's just a paradigm of which you were born into. It doesn't mean you have to adhere to it. There is many reasons for the rise of the psychological drugs. There's a reason for the rise in so many chemical imbalances, which also ties into the foods that we eat and all the EMF waves and shit from all the electronics. I mean, there's so many reasons to it. But what I'm trying to say is that the protocol of which has been set into place for what it is that we have to have as a society in which to be happy, it doesn't create the happiness of which you're being promised. Those ads that you see on TV, that does not create the happiness of which you're promised. What creates the happiness is having your health under control, having your finances in control, or at least if you're going to be in this society, having your love life or your relationships under control, being balanced out, having your goals and being able to achieve them. Self-growth creates happiness. I mean, we are some of the only creatures out there that stop growing if we can, right? We like to get to a certain point and then become super lazy. Every single tree out there doesn't stop growing. It just keeps going as much as it can possibly grow until it dies. Humans are not like that. Humans seem to be bred for laziness, to try to become, Epicurean, right? Just chilling, going with the status quo. That is not the protocol for happiness. You have to get a balance in all these other areas. Me, I was severely unbalanced because I was in survival mode for so long, and I still have the goals of being super successful. I still have the goals that I have, but it needs to be gotten to in a balanced fashion. So anyways, the point is that this guy who came in here, I had a conversation with him, and I realized he is completely cut off from the people of which he loves. He's completely cut off from his friends, completely cut off for the most part from his family, except for seeing them at night, and he's just trying to hammer this job. Here's the thing, guys. We are tribalistic. I don't care what anybody tells you. We are tribal creatures, right? When we came from, back when we all had to stick together in communities just to survive. Throughout all of human history, all of it, we have always, always, always operated in tribes, close-knit groups, helping each other, community. We are social creatures. Right now is the only time in all of human history that we have ever tried to be non-tribalistic, to work jobs from home and do things through the internet, to buy and sell goods through the internet, completely not interacting with one another, to date by swiping left or swiping right, to hang out with people on FaceTime. It's not that those things are bad. The point is, it can't only be that, and that is where society is gearing towards. It is gearing towards a resemblance of closeness that is not actual closeness. There's a lot of people out there who do not have these close-knit friends and family, this, that, and the other. On to my next point. Not only are we tribalistic creatures that need to have our tribe, need to have people around us who we vibe with and who we connect with, we also need to have, oh my God, I totally forgot. We are spiritual entities in one way, shape, or form. I don't really give a shit what you believe. I don't care if you're a Catholic or a Buddhist or I don't, it doesn't matter. The point is, at the end of the day, some way, shape, or form, there is a spiritual energy of which all things are made of, right? That's actually provable. Or at least the vibration frequency is. You can believe whatever you want spiritually. But let's just take it for a second and say that if spirituality does exist, which I will heavily advocate that it does, and there is an energy that the earth puts off, if that is real, and we are tribalistic creatures, well, that means that a lot of stuff that's missing from the people who are high-powered sales executive types, or people who are really trying to make it in the money game, right? People like myself, people like, my guy who came to me for advice recently, a few minutes ago. We need to reconnect with that tribe, right? And if indeed we are spiritual people, and if indeed grounding does work, which apparently it seems to work for me. So I will be going out today. I will be having another walk. I will take off my shoes at some point. I will sit, I will meditate, and I will also try to ground myself, and I will talk to myself, literally. Because going within oneself is the other factor that's missing from society. Everything is external. Buy this, you'll be happy. Do this, you'll be happy. But it's always reaching. It's always something outside of oneself. And the problem is that the most important relationship you have in your life is with yourself. And that is the most forgotten about relationship in your life, is yourself. So my advice to you guys today is the same advice that I gave to him. Understand the roots of a human. Understand where we come from and what we are wired for. Because we are not wired for this segregation, not from others and not from ourselves. We are wired for close-knit community, not only, again, with others, but within ourselves. This inner community in communion with oneself. We are wired for that. That's why some of the happiest people you know are some of the most spiritual types. Some of the calmest people you know are the spiritual types. You look at Tony Robbins and some of these other highly successful people. What do a lot of them have in common? They meditate. They sit there. They go within. From within, from without, right? They go within themselves and they get balanced. And that was my advice for him today. I told him, I said, listen, I don't care about your numbers. I don't care that you're not producing. I don't even want you going out there and working today. I want you to go out. I want you to do some shit for you. I want you to either go for a walk or see your kids, go play ball. I want you to go fishing. I asked him what he liked to do. He could riddle off a whole bunch of things he loves to do, but he wasn't doing any of it. And I know a lot of the types of people who watch this channel, I know that you're not balanced either. I know that from some of the personal messages that I've gotten. I know that from just hanging around people like myself. It's hard to be balanced when you live in a society that's constantly pushing you towards this other end of the spectrum that creates actually disease within oneself. So that's my advice for you guys today, guys. Remember what a human actually is. Remember where you come from. Understand you're a spiritual creature. Get the fact that you're a tribalistic creature, and act the part more. So that is the next leg of my journey. I'm going to be trying to more connect with myself within myself. And so far it's been working, because there's no reason for me to have to be on some form of medication just to make it through my trek through life. I should be able to be balanced out within myself, taking care of myself, being in communion with oneself, and going after what I want balanced. So, hope that helped you guys. I will talk to you next time. By the way, I always forget to say it. If you like this kind of stuff, leave a comment or like a like or something. All that stuff helps. Or share this video with somebody that needs to see it, or subscribe, or if not, I'm just talking to myself. Who wants to do that? See ya.